All right, Cyber Traders, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Monday, October 24th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see a couple of our new members like Mary Alice joining us here alongside her. Just a few of us rejoining us perhaps inside the live chat board like Chuck and Michael, and a few of us otherwise just, hey, folks, we have the Phase 2 stock course continuing along this afternoon at 3:05 p.m. Eastern. So we'll look to have Rich post that link just in the chat board coming up in the next few minutes here. But great to see all of you back here inside the live trading room. Great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. So folks, let's hop right into the thick of it here. Markets are pushing back on up towards the highs. You can see the SPY here making a nice rounded bottom, pushing back up to the previous highs that we had heading into the afternoon here. For right now, KULR is on the chart to begin, on the screen to begin here. Heading into this meeting, it was relatively quiet inside our chat board. I always like to pose the question to our folks here inside the live trading room just to get a little banter, a little conversation. Just, hey, what's everyone watching going into the afternoon meeting? So Mary had wrote, hey, I'm new here, never been here before. I'm watching what you guys are doing. Love that answer. Always love that answer. So, hey, KULR is like a stock that's been creeping on up here heading into this afternoon, but hopefully it gains even a little bit more volatility. Hopefully it trades more volume per minute heading into the next 90 minutes of the day. So I don't mind putting this on our main watch list here so far to begin. It's the sound of my notepad right there. KULR. We'll put this on our watch list so far. Hopefully, it ends up making a push up closer towards the 19 near 20,000 share order on the ask, sitting at 198. You would also assume at $2 for that to be a really big level as well. So 198, the combination of the two there should be a big level. So with that, though, we're going to put that on our watch list to begin. We have a couple of other stocks that we'll talk about from the gainer side in a moment. Just want to go over a stock that we'll be talking about inside the Phase 2 course coming up later on today. Hey, good old familiar name here, JD. We haven't traded this in quite some time. Fell out of our price range for a long time, but man, I guess over time the China stock's been dropping off, this being one of them, and a huge gap down on this, as with, a bunch of the other Chinese stocks from this morning, like NEO and Lee and XPEV and Billy and PDD. I mean, the list goes on. But we traded this stock a long while back for any of our longtime students here, like Phil or Lita, Grant, Glenn. You folks remember this stock, JD. I was never a big fan of this stock at all. I was never a big fan of it. I'm still really not. But, I'll tell you what, it's volatile, and that's what we care about here. It's volatile, and it's liquid, most importantly. So, this stock is trading really good volume. We were calling it out right off the opening print, right off of the 35.74 price, and it's something that I'm still in right now. I'm looking for this to make a move up closer towards 36.60, and we'll see what happens at that point. But JD, at least, we'll put on our main watch list here heading into the close. If anyone's a baseball fan here, it kind of reminds me of like the New York Mets. I don't know. All right, let's see what we have from top to bottom here. Otherwise, we'll go from the gainers to the losers list right now. See what else we could add to our watch list here. I'm a Yankees fan. PCVX, about time this thing starts to fall off. This has just been a nightmare from the morning. You know what? I thought I'd check the news out on this stock, and if it was a buyout, then that would be really a rookie move on my end to even brush that off. No, it's not. Yeah, no, this isn't a buyout. It looks like a buyout, at least at this point in hindsight, with how flat it is. But I think this is phase 1/2 study news. All right, well, you would have expected a lot bigger of a move up after the market opened. And with that, I mean, I didn't trade this at all, thankfully. I didn't get my hands stuck in this mess, but it looks really choppy from the morning. It's been holding under 35 for right now. I've been waiting for this to plummet here heading into the afternoon. It really hasn't plummeted yet. It's just been holding under resistance. So it's been a giant tease all day, I really feel. There we go. There's Lita, one of our longtime students here. Let's see what else we have here, though. A couple cheapies here on the gainer side, like AGTC, MULN. MULN we're really familiar with back from, I think, the end of last year heading into this year. I get my days mixed up, but we ended up trading this stock. It's an automotive stock. Here you can see from this big squeeze up here over time. And I think they've done a reverse split in the past too. But nonetheless, though, I mean, it's fallen kind of out of our price range in terms of being too inexpensive for us normally for us to focus on day to day. I guess it was up big today, but just pulled back recently here. Not a whole lot happening to it right now so far. The Mott's trade off too. Maybe this could be the point where it can make that big bounce, but if you were hoping from that or hoping for that from earlier this morning, I mean, ended up holding off 217 nicely, really well, but ended up snapping below that as support. That should be a resistance right now going forward. Ooh, look what we got here. Sober, familiar name, another big pop on this stock. Is it a real pop or is it a fake pop? Is this going to pull back down and that's it? Or does this have legs? Does this have the ability to make a move like we were expecting the JD trade to make its move? So, with this stock, I mean, hey, it's almost like building a bit of a Fausto flag even here right now, at least the top roughly off that 367, 368. Put this on our list. Stock's always had some news out recently, so just check Benzinga Pro really quickly, the news feed. Yeah, I got no news since Friday the 21st, so I mean, maybe something will come out pretty shortly from now. That's a pretty interesting pop, though, from like 330-ish up to 370, 40-cent move, trading a ton of volume here. I'll take it. Why not? I mean, you don't need to have a news headline out in order for a stock to make a big move for us to capitalize on, but I mean, you'd rather have it, right? It's better to have it than to not, but even if there's no news out on it, we've seen this stock trade in the past. It looks very staticky as far as a swing, but as far as a day trade, it's done us really well on the way up. Just be careful once the volume begins to peak and then drop off. I mean, kind of like it's had here. If it fails to really break higher here, I could see it pulling back closer to like a 340 maybe or 345. All right, not a bad one though for right now. What else do we have here? KSPN. KSPN had a really nice move from the morning. Unfortunately, now I haven't checked it on this trade in quite some time. So, ended up making a great move from the morning. Like I'd said, bounced from like 135, topped off right around 168, 167 there. But man, geez, take your eyes off a stock for even like 10 minutes. You don't realize how far it can like tank and pull back. Snapchat trying to, recover from the tank job it had from the end of last week. Ended up making a nice pop and run early this morning with the market. Huge shakedown. Geez, what was this? I think that Rich gave me a little intel on this one. So I think this has to do with perhaps the U.S. banning TikTok. I listen. I think once Snapchat came out, that was a little beyond my self. At least a couple of my friends and family members, they do TikTok or they do Snapchat. But now a TikTok out, that's like the next generation. I haven't gone into any of that crap as far as using the apps, at least. So I think the news out at least is that the U.S. is potentially considering banning TikTok, probably for some security measure, but nonetheless, huge drop off shortly after 1 o'clock Eastern time on Snapchat. Let me just check out Twitter here otherwise and like Meta. Okay. Ooh, little pop. I mean, this didn't really drop too much, so this could have benefited pretty nicely. Snapchat's owned by Facebook, I think. Facebook with the big drop. And I think that Facebook potentially, and then this is where I don't want to talk out of pocket, but Facebook potentially owning or looking to own TikTok too. I don't know. But nonetheless, I mean, big drop on Snapchat, and it's been recovering pretty nicely since. So for right now, getting back to our watch list here, I don't mind putting Snapchat on our main watch list with hopes to seeing this make higher lows and continue to try and fill the gap it had from the daily chart back from Thursday into Friday last week. All right, nice big old move back up from my JD trade. There we go. Mara made a nice move up today, which I did not jump in on. So I was in on this a week ago or a week and a half ago as a swing trade. Did pretty good on it, but I had said there's a good chance that we could see the markets continue to push up coming up here over time. But I wanted to stay away because I do think that we'll end up seeing a sharper pullback over time and just a little uncertainty on when that was going to be. So I ended up getting like $1.20 on it or so. It was a nice move, but ended up making a pretty strong move up today. But more importantly, ended up holding the critical level I was watching from my exit on the swing trade last week. That was right off the 1150 level. So, boom, ended up holding that beautifully as support. The market's pushed up, and this benefited from it very nicely. I don't really even think crypto moved up too much, with that. Mara's really outperforming everything so far. So, as far as a day trade here, well, hey, if you've been a longtime student of CTU inside our live trading room, at least from the last couple of years, you know my stance on these crypto stocks at this very time of the day, even with them up as much as they are and at the highs. These have always been teases for the afternoon. It looks so good right here, right? It's at the highs, double top. If we could break it here, it could potentially fly. I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be great. And I'll put it on our list here, but we'll check back in with this stock in 24 hours from now. We'll see if I, have a little egg on my face or if I was right. But, I'd be more reluctant than anything to trade this just because it's going to be a tease, I feel. It's not going to give you that big $2 pop and run that you would hope for. I think that normally any other stock would have the chance to really make the continued push up higher like this type of trend off the highs here, especially with where it is right now. So, that's what we teach in the phase 2 stock course. That's what Fausto definitely covers in the phase 3 live trading course that he does. And he'll be doing that at least next week for all of us here live. But, Mara, we'll put this on our list. We'll see if this ends up making the big pop that we would all hope to see. But evidence says otherwise normally. All right, Novavax. This is up big here too. This has done us really well as far as a day trade. So it looks like once again ended up making a nice pop and a very volatile shape back down, mind you. Geez, ended up making like $1.50 move up, if not more, and then like came back down most of the way through. Then retraced and made the higher high later on. So this is a great stock to day trade. Not to say swing trade because, hey, perhaps it could swing higher over time, but I'm just saying strictly as a day trade for right now, this stock has been one to keep on your side list day over day. Might not trade like a lot of activity early in pre-market, though. That's the only thing. So, that's more of an insinuation that we're going to continue to see strong volume on the stock throughout the, next week or so. But NVAX, I mean, here it looks a little slow across the afternoon. But from the morning, I mean, that's where I was saying. It ended up making a great move from the morning. Keep it in mind tomorrow morning at least. That JD trade getting awfully close to my exit, which I'd be very content with. All right, let's hop over to the loser side right now. Let's see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. And I don't think this is looking good, but holy smokes. TCDA. I mean, for a stock down 94%, you would figure that there'd be some formal bounce, some sort of bounce. Give me a little something. Nothing. Nada. That's where I was saying on the mic earlier with Fausto in the audio broadcast that we did. Just because this stock is cheap doesn't mean that you should be trading 5,000 shares. If you don't know how to manage a 5,000 share position as it's on a false breakout and comes down twice as hard as you thought it was going to move up, that's not going to be too that's not going to look too good, right? So with that, I mean, this really didn't offer us anything. You don't want to be stuck holding on to a trade like this because you don't know when exactly it's going to make a big squeeze back up. Little free game for right now, but we'll talk a lot more about this in the phase 2 course on Wednesday. But a stock like ARDX, I remember this like the back of my hand, where it ended up gapping down on this 1 week. It was a given morning, but this week it was, a gap down on a morning, and it never came back, has it? Not even close. It ended up dropping off for like a number of months after, popped up here and then drop it. You don't want to be stuck holding on to that TCDA, expecting that dead cat bounce. Just because it's down 94% doesn't mean it's guaranteed to do anything. All right, that was my vent of the day there. Let's see what else we got here for right now. A couple of other Chinese stocks making a nice little squeeze. Could have some good volatility to it, like the JD trade, PDD. you know, it's trying, but I feel like JD is making a sharper move up. Look at that. Nice squeeze up right on up to my next fib level for right now. We're going to talk a lot about this trade coming up in the class ahead at 3 o'clock, but we'll continue our conversation a bit, at least with indicators and VWAP and what happened to this trade ultimately throughout the day. I was on a coaching call with one of our students, Nina, and we wrote it in the chat board saying, I'm looking for this to hold over the opening print. Ended up doing just that. But as far as a historical level to follow on the stock, this could turn into a short swing trade, a short-term swing trade. So, we'll see what the market does here heading into the close. A lot of the Chinese stocks gapped down early this morning, and a lot of them are really coming back, but this seems to be one of the stronger ones. And I feel good, at least with the level I was looking to get out on as far as a day trade, but I wrote it earlier in the chat board. I was saying I'm thinking about turning this a small amount of shares into a swing. So perhaps we'll even shed light on that, at least in the phase 2 course later on today. As far as the swing, I don't know if I'll use this as the example, but keep in mind, later on this week, at the end of this week on Friday, the 28th, we're going to be continuing the Swing Trading Pro course coming up. Lesson number 2, we're going to be talking all about risk management. So, I don't know if we'll look to use this as an example. We'll see if I even swing it. But for right now, as a day trade, it's looking pretty good. It came 3 pennies away from closing me out. I had a stop set at 59 or limit sell at 59. So hopefully this doesn't tank from here. I don't want to have this drop on me now as I conclude this meeting, but let's see if there's anything else looking just as good, folks, from the loser side. Otherwise, PDD, I'm not fully vested in. It's more expensive than JD, and it's not making as good of a move. Opportunity there, right? Opportunity cost. LI, it's cheaper, but it's super flat. Neo, my favorite stock, super flat. Billy, it's trying to creep up there a little bit, higher lows, a little trend up for right now. I don't mind that, but let's see if there's anything moving even a little faster. TAL, it's like kind of, well, no, it's still got a ways to go. The high of the day is off 351, so it's not at the highs really for right now. The JD trade is at the regular session highs. So for right now, at least that looks a lot stronger. XPEV, not a whole lot happening there. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, we got a decent list for right now. And, some stocks that we're pretty familiar with. Snapchat, Mara, a couple of our longtime students, JD, right? Novavax, maybe I'll jump back to. So I saw Michael make a comment on that as I was going through it. It's not far off from the highs. It's holding there pretty well. It's up over 5%. Not really at a excess of stocks on our watch list for right now. Right. All right. So we'll slip NVAX on the back end. Intel going anywhere asks Leda. Huge volume spike. We'll drop, then wiggle back up. If anything, I'd rather follow just the sector as a whole, like SOXL, because Intel will likely follow that pretty nicely. AMD, that's at the highs. That looks pretty strong. So I had this whole sector on our watch list on the afternoon meeting back from last week on Thursday or Friday, I think it was. That includes NVIDIA, AMD, Micron, Intel, all of those. So, they look strong for right now. Put them on your side list, I'd say otherwise. What's up with Neo? Not a whole lot, Andre. Not a whole lot is up with Neo right now. And I told you folks, with this Neo trade, you don't want to fall in love with the stock over and over, right? And I was saying that myself. I lead by example here. Hey, Neo is a great drop off from this morning. It's doing jack right now. It's not doing anything. And the cheaper this gets, it's going to become more liquid to liquid. Hey, look what happened to our friend SoFi. It's a slug. Look what happened to our friend Palantir. Slow. The cheaper American Airlines gets over time, as it did back during the pandemic, at least. Well, it'll become slower. It's a very liquid trade. So definitely same to be said on NEO. If you look back historically, and speaking of which, we'll talk about historical charting coming up later on in about 15 minutes within the phase 2 stock course. But, in terms of historic with NEO, as it was like a $2-3 stock, I recall this being a really liquid, slow, non-worthwhile stock. So the more this drops over time here, it's only going to become that. Got to find me a new favorite stock, that's for sure. All right, so folks, let me know if there's anything else otherwise up, down, left, right, more than 5%. Let's just check social media, YouTube Live for right now. Francia saying she's a Phillies fan. Well, congratulations. Very nice for Philly to go to the World Series. Hopefully you kick Houston's butt. Bunch of cheaters. All right. Mitch saying AA if Mark can keep pushing up. Nah, not at all. This is not looking really too enticing whatsoever. It's a $39 stock, so it's like, how much could you really expect out of this trade? It's not really moving too well right now. If I put this on our list, I'd have to put 30 different stocks on our list otherwise. Right? We got to be picky and choosy. Andre says anybody but Houston. All right, before I start a small little war here inside our chat board, I think we're going to call it. Hey, folks, keep in mind one last time, as if I didn't say it enough here in this meeting, we have the Phase 2 stock course continuing later on today in about 12 or 13 minutes right now. I look forward to it. Brand new class that I'll be teaching for the first time, historical charting. So, for any of our trial members, if you have any questions pertaining to our education, our curriculum, just make sure that you speak to your education advisor. They're your main point of contact here at CTU. They're kind of like the middle person between you and Fausto, you and myself. For any of our students here otherwise, if you're not joining me in class, best of luck trading going into the market close. Any questions that you folks may have, feel more than free to send it over through email. Especially for Traders Talk tomorrow. That's our weekly workshop. But again, Josh at ctutrading.com. That applies for all of us on social media as well, Facebook Live, YouTube. At least any questions that you folks have, send it over through email and let me know otherwise. All right, folks. But otherwise, folks, I look forward to all of us just joining me in class later on in a bit. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.